While the media screams that sodium batteries will destroy lithium and revolutionize everything overnight, the world's largest battery manufacturer just quietly revealed data that tells a completely different story. CATL, the Chinese giant that controls more battery production than the next 5 companies combined, has been mass-producing sodium batteries for months now, yet they're capturing less than 1% of the global market. The question isn't whether sodium will kill lithium. It's why American policymakers and investors are making billion-dollar bets based on headlines instead of manufacturing realities, and what this means for America's energy independence as China controls both technologies. The sodium battery revolution was supposed to be simple. Sodium is everywhere, in seawater, salt flats, even the salt on your dinner table. Unlike lithium, which comes primarily from remote corners of Chile, Argentina, and Australia, sodium seemed like the democratic alternative that would free the world from resource scarcity and geopolitical dependency. Media outlets ran with this narrative throughout 2024 and 2025, painting lithium as the villain and sodium as the hero in a technological fairy tale. But manufacturing data from the first half of 2025 reveals a more complex reality that should concern anyone thinking about America's position in the global battery race. CATL's latest financial reports show their sodium battery shipments grew by only 44% year-over-year in the first half of 2025, falling short of even 50% of their annual 5-gigawatt-hour target. This isn't a supply problem, it's a demand problem. Despite achieving impressive technical specifications with their Nextra series, including 175 watt-hours per kilogram energy density and the ability to maintain 90% capacity at minus 40 degrees Celsius, the market simply isn't rushing to adopt sodium technology at scale. The numbers tell us something the headlines don't. Technical achievement and market success are completely different things. The cost story is even more revealing. While sodium carbonate costs roughly $200 to $600 per ton, compared to lithium carbonate's $9,600 to $15,000 per ton, actual sodium battery cells currently cost more than double what lithium iron phosphate cells cost. This price inversion exists despite sodium's raw material advantage, highlighting how battery economics extend far beyond mining costs. Manufacturing infrastructure, supply chain maturity, research and development investments, and economies of scale all factor into the final price. China has spent 2 decades building lithium battery supply chains, from mining partnerships in South America to gigafactory construction across Asia. Sodium batteries, despite their theoretical advantages, are starting from zero in an industry where scale determines survival. The energy density limitation reveals the fundamental physics challenge that no amount of media hype can overcome. Sodium ions are approximately 3 times larger than lithium ions, creating an inherent ceiling on how much energy you can pack into a given space. Current sodium batteries achieve 100 to 160 watt-hours per kilogram, compared to lithium's 200 to 300 watt-hours per kilogram for high-performance applications. Even CATL's advanced Nextra technology at 175 watt-hours per kilogram falls short of premium lithium batteries reaching 250 to 300 watt-hours per kilogram. For electric vehicles, this translates directly into heavier battery packs, reduced range, or both. American consumers shopping for EVs care about driving 300 miles on a charge, not the philosophical beauty of abundant sodium. What makes this particularly relevant for American strategic thinking is how quickly the lithium scarcity narrative has changed. Lithium carbonate prices crashed more than 70% from their 2022 peaks, falling from $60,000 to $80,000 per ton to current levels around $10,000 per ton. This wasn't supposed to happen, according to the sodium battery pitch. Stanford University's spin-out Bedrock Materials recently announced the closure of its sodium battery operations, citing cost competition challenges as lithium prices stabilized at lower levels. When a Stanford-backed startup shuts down because lithium got too cheap, it's worth questioning the entire premise of lithium scarcity driving sodium adoption. The geopolitical angle deserves serious examination because it cuts both ways. Yes, China dominates lithium processing, controlling approximately 80% of battery cell production and significant portions of mineral processing. However, China also dominates sodium battery development and production. CATL, Haina Battery, and BYD lead global sodium commercialization efforts, meaning a shift towards sodium wouldn't reduce Chinese influence, it might actually increase it.
Chinese companies filed the majority of sodium battery patents, control the manufacturing equipment, and have the scale to drive costs down faster than Western competitors can enter the market. American policymakers betting on sodium as a path to battery independence might be trading one form of Chinese dependency for another. The applications where sodium batteries actually make sense reveal why the technology will likely remain complementary rather than competitive with lithium. Grid-scale energy storage represents sodium's most promising market segment because space constraints matter less and safety considerations matter more. Sodium batteries demonstrate superior safety characteristics with higher thermal runaway temperatures and reduced fire risk. For utility-scale installations storing renewable energy, these advantages outweigh energy density limitations. However, grid storage represents a fraction of the total battery market compared to transportation applications, where weight and space constraints favor lithium. Regional development patterns show how industrial policy intersects with technological reality. European companies like Northvolt and Faraday are developing alternative sodium approaches, particularly focusing on Prussian blue cathode chemistries and hard carbon anodes. American companies like Natron Energy and Peak Energy are pursuing sodium technologies but face challenges from tariffs on Chinese components and underdeveloped domestic supply chains. The Biden administration's support for alternative battery chemistries through initiatives like the Energy Storage Grand Challenge provides policy backing, but commercial viability remains uncertain given current cost structures and Chinese competition. The environmental impact comparison offers another layer of complexity that media coverage often oversimplifies. Sodium extraction from seawater or salt deposits requires significantly less water and energy compared to lithium extraction from brine pools or hard rock mining. The carbon footprint of sodium battery production is estimated at 10 to 20 kilograms CO2 per kilowatt hour, compared to 100 to 150 kilograms CO2 per kilowatt hour for comparable lithium batteries. However, lower energy density may require larger battery installations to achieve equivalent energy storage capacity, potentially offsetting some environmental benefits through increased material usage and land requirements. Industry experts provide more measured assessments than media narratives suggest.
Roberto Manuel Teresi from the University of Sao Paulo argues that sodium batteries will not replace lithium storage modules, but will occupy specific market niches. Adrian Yao from Stanford's STE program emphasizes that sodium cost competitiveness depends heavily on achieving technological breakthroughs in energy density, while lithium prices remain volatile. A Nature Energy study evaluated over 6,000 scenarios and concluded that sodium pathways might reach cost competitiveness with low-cost lithium variants in the 2030s, but only under specific conditions including substantial research progress and favorable supply chain scenarios. Market projections reveal the scale challenge facing sodium adoption. Research firms project the global sodium battery market expanding from $245 million in 2024 to $2.32 billion by 2034, representing impressive 25.3% compound annual growth. However, even with this aggressive expansion, sodium batteries would represent less than 1% of the total battery market by 2030. The lithium battery market, by comparison, is projected to grow from $57 billion in 2023 to $187 billion by 2032. This disparity illustrates that while sodium growth rates appear dramatic, the absolute market impact remains limited. The manufacturing reality check comes from examining actual production data versus announcement headlines. Despite CAT's announcements of mass production beginning in late 2025, current sodium battery manufacturing scales remain orders of magnitude below lithium production. CAT's first-generation sodium batteries power 250,000 vehicles across China, but this represents a tiny fraction of the 9 million electric vehicles sold in China during 2024. Scale matters enormously in battery manufacturing because fixed costs for research, development, and factory construction must be spread across millions of units to achieve competitive pricing. The technology complementarity framework represents the most realistic scenario for sodium battery development.
Different battery chemistries will serve their optimal applications rather than one technology dominating all markets. Lithium batteries will likely maintain dominance in energy-dense applications like long-range electric vehicles and portable electronics, while sodium batteries capture cost-sensitive and safety-critical segments like grid storage and two-wheeler vehicles in developing markets.
This diversified ecosystem approach, while less dramatic than media narratives suggest, represents a healthier and more resilient approach to meeting growing energy storage needs. For American investors, policymakers, and technologists, the sodium versus lithium story offers important lessons about distinguishing technological potential from market reality. Sodium batteries represent genuine innovation with specific advantages in safety, cold weather performance, and raw material abundance. However, fundamental physics limitations, manufacturing challenges, and rapidly evolving lithium markets indicate a complementary rather than replacement relationship with existing technology. The companies in countries that understand this nuanced reality, rather than chasing headlines about revolutionary disruption, are more likely to make informed decisions about where to invest capital and attention in the evolving energy storage landscape. The question for America isn't whether to bet on sodium or lithium, it's whether we're building the industrial capacity, supply chain resilience, and technological expertise to compete in a diversified battery ecosystem, where China currently leads in both technologies. That conversation requires moving beyond media hype towards serious industrial policy discussions about manufacturing capabilities, research investments, and strategic partnerships that can rebuild American competitiveness in critical energy technologies.